Good morning. Happy Thursday. How is everybody? I have terrible allergies going on. They've been on and off all summer, and I don't know if I've ever actually suffered from allergies, but they're exceptionally bothersome today. Excuse me. So I will try my best not to continuously clear my throat. Try to drink my water or my tea. If it's not tea, it's coffee. I already drank my tea instead, but try to keep it normal for you guys. As always, as you guys jump in, please let me know where you're from. Say hey. If you're watching this in Facebook, there is a StreamYard link at the top that'll allow me to see your name. If you want to click on that so I can know who you are. That said, I will open Facebook over here like I always do because I just need to know who I'm talking to when you guys ask questions. It's an OCD part of me. So let's see. There we go. All right. So there I am. Okay. Let me know you can hear me. I always get paranoid that, like, even though my mic says it's working, that it's not. So let me know you can hear me. I see y'all jumping in. So good morning. So you guys, these weekly chats that we have are updates, but they're also Q&As. So please definitely, if you guys have questions, if you brought questions with you, go ahead and put them in the chat. They're always my number one priority when we're on these lives. My thought is if you're joining me live, then I want to answer your questions. So so let me know what questions you have. Mark's here. He says, hey, hi, Mark. So let me know what questions you have. We'll go over a few questions I've gotten in the group and DM'd to me this week. We'll chat about those a bit, and we'll talk about updates. Not a lot is going on, but there are, as always, rumors, circulating about, fourth stimulus checks and tax refund delays and all the things. So if you have any questions regarding those, let me know. We'll kind of chat about them. But yeah, let me open everything up that I want to get open and we will begin. If you're here and you don't know me, I am Bree Beers. I own Bree Beers and Associates in Denver, Colorado. We are a tax and accounting firm. We specialize in small business taxes and tax planning and tax strategizing. We kind of talk tax advising, I think, is the all-encompassing term we're trying to get used to using for small business owners and their businesses. We also, throughout the years of me doing this, I recognize that as business owners, y'all don't know what you don't know when it comes to taxes and accounting. And so our goal is to help shed some light on that. And so we have a ton of free resources, including our YouTube channel, which is growing and is probably my favorite platform right now. Over there, we post weekly videos that are anywhere from like 5 to 10 minutes, but I think the last two have been 11 minutes. So 5 to 15 minutes long, answering very specific tax and accounting questions. I think those are my favorite because I have a great producer who, takes out all my ums and so's and makes them a little easier to digest. And then we also have our Facebook group. It's Money, Taxes, and Finance for Small Business. And that is a fantastic place, a great small community full of business owners who have, who are just trying to, run their business and figure out how their finances and their accounting kind of, works into that. So I'll say it one more time because I see a few more people have jumped on. If y'all, first and foremost, this is a Q&A session. So any tax, accounting, I say bookkeeping, but mostly tax and accounting questions you may have, throw them in the chat. I always answer those of you that show up live. Your questions are always first and foremost, the most important. So I will answer y'all's first. We'll go over a few updates that I've read about in the last week. And then I have a few questions I've been asked via DM and email that I will answer if we just have to fill some time. So, all right, so I don't see any questions yet, so I will go ahead and we will chat about a few updates, all right? So the matter of the fact that there aren't any updates, you guys, but there are rumors. There's rumors going around that I've read a lot on. And so the first one is a fourth stimulus check. We keep hearing about a proposal to get a fourth stimulus. I believe it's a $2,000 stimulus that they are petitioning for. It is not anywhere near close to being passed, you guys. It's been presented, but it would still need to go through both sides of Congress and get passed. And it's right now, I believe it's in the, I can't remember if they've included it in the infrastructure bill or they're talking about. So right now, what Congress is focused on, you guys, is their $1 trillion infrastructure bill. There's their budget, their federal budget package. I think that's 3.5 trillion they're trying to pass. And so as of what I've most recently read, there was no federal stimulus included in either of those packages that they're talking about, okay? But if they get through those two things and they figure that out, will they talk about a stimulus another stimulus? Maybe. It's just not on the immediate radar. It doesn't sound like. However, there are states that are starting to kind of take matters into their own hand and start handing out state stimuluses. I think California just, let me look because I think I pulled that up, because California, yeah, they just sent their second round of stimulus checks. So nothing right now on the federal level, but we are seeing some states wanting to do something for their citizens on a state level. All right, so let's see. So hypothetically, asking for a friend, if one has ERTC for 2020 owed from IRS back to the 941X filer well in excess of the 2020 deferred Social Security tax, but the IRS is so far behind, should half the deferral need to be paid by 12/31 if it takes too long? I've gotten a lot of questions about this. So those of you that are in here that are like, wait, what is an ERTC? What is a 941X? Quick recap. So an ERTC, that's the Employee Retention Tax Credit. This was part originally of the stimulus package back in March of 2020. When they presented it, it is for businesses who have employees. And when it was originally presented, it was, you can take the ERTC or you can take a PPP loan. You cannot get both. In December, when the second COVID Relief Act passed, they said, you know what, actually, you can do both. You just got to make sure you're not spending the same, you just got to make sure you're not spending the ERTC money, you're not spending the PPP money on the same payroll dollars that you are then trying to qualify for an ERTC. So they're like, you can't double dip, but you can get it as long as you have enough payroll to cover both. Okay, so what we're being asked here is, so the 941X, you guys, so 941 is the payroll, the quarterly payroll reports you run when you have employees, and a 941X, an X is the amended. So what happened is 2020 passed, right? And then this in December 2020, they said, oh, you actually can do both. So you can go back, you can amend your payroll returns from 2020 and take this credit, even if you took a PPP loan. And so this is a, so so you're this, so it's Mark, but asking for a friend. So if you, let's see, owed from IRS. So you've filed the 941Xs for 2020, you have not received the credits, because what happens, you guys, is the ERTC is a credit for 70% of your employee wages up to a $7,000 credit. That's this year. Sorry, that's this year, 2021. It was different in 2020. 50% up to $5,000 per employee. So you were able to go back, amend your returns to receive this credit if you qualified. And so you're saying you're expecting a credit well in excess of the deferred Social Security tax, but the IRS is so far behind, should have the deferral need to be paid by 12/31 if it takes too long. I don't know, Mark. That is a question we've actually asked in a bunch of my forums, or not me personally, but it has been asked, and there's no specific guidance yet telling us, like, will there be penalties if you don't, pay this? Like, are we expecting this money to get paid before then? So that said, 12/31, we're just finishing the third quarter. We have 3.5 months till we get there. My guess is maybe we'll have some answers, or at least we might have some answers, hopefully October-ish. That's my goal. Maybe get some answers there. If not, hopefully we have some refund or some credits finally being received, because I'm not sure I'm trying to think of the people I've talked to. I'm not sure I have talked to anyone who has received money for their 2020 941X, for their amended 941s yet. I know they exist. I've read about them, but I have not actually talked to anybody who has received that cash, or that credit amount from an amended 2020 return. But hopefully, even though the IRS is so far behind right now, hopefully they will get some of these payments out so that you don't have to worry about that deferral. But I would say, knowing what I know just about IRS, about, taxes and everything, I would say yes. I would say if by 12/31 you have not received that credit, you got to just pay it back. And then when the credit comes, and unfortunately that's a cash timing difference, right? Like just having the cash or not having the cash. But I just don't know if they're going to give us any specific guidance that says, hey, don't worry about it, or extends it. That's what we would be looking for. We'd be looking for something that extends that 12/31 deadline of repayment. So I don't know. I don't know what we'll see. I don't have high hopes anymore, just don't. So a few other questions, you guys, that I have gotten this week. Let me pull them up. So someone sent me an article from earlier this week talking about 2021 tax refund delays, that they're anticipating 2021 refund delays. And I'm like, so I had to read the article because I'm like, you mean refunds you're expecting in 2021 from prior years? No, they're already talking about, they're so far behind now that they're already worried about when we start filing 2021 returns about refunds being delayed. I can't even start to think about that yet, you guys. Like, I'm still doing 2020 tax returns. So trying to wrap my brain around, what did I just say? I'm filing 2020 tax returns. I can't even wrap my brain around 2021 tax season yet. But that does bring up the fact that there are still 2020 tax return refunds that have not been received. Y'all, I still have 2019 returns that were filed at the end of 2019. So these clients had been on extension. We filed their returns in, July, August, September, and they go onto the IRS website. The IRS says, yes, we've received your return and we're processing it. And that's where they're at right now. They're still processing these 2019 tax returns. Mostly they are ones that were paper filed. So if you electronically filed your 2019 return, hopefully by now you've had it, it's been processed and received, processed and a refund issued. But know that it is not you. Okay, it is not something you did wrong on your tax return. It is not something your tax preparer probably did wrong on your tax return. I can't speak for every tax preparer, but I have had numerous clients calling, who have called me and assume that we did something wrong. We forgot to file something. And we have all, no, we have the confirmation from the IRS saying they received your return. You go online, the IRS tells you as the taxpayer, yeah, we received your return. But there's no status update after that, right? There's nothing to say, yeah, we're working on it, give us some time, or we're working on it, but we're having to manually, review your rebate credit that you are asking for. Like, there's nothing, right? And so at that point, I have clients that are like, I called the IRS, couldn't get a hold of anyone, or I called the IRS, they told me that they didn't have any answers. I've gotten it all, you guys. I've called the IRS because we have a practitioner's line, and I call so I've called on behalf of clients and behalf of tax returns to see if I can get answers. There are no answers to be had. You guys, the people in the IRS office normally super nice, but just I think they're overwhelmed and just tired of not having the answers for their for taxpayers, and they don't. Normally when you file a return, if you're waiting on a refund, or the automatic response is you got to wait 16 weeks. Like pre-COVID, you guys, they're like 16 weeks. You have to give it 16 weeks before we can escalate it. And now they're like, I mean, I'm calling 24 weeks later, and they're just like, there's just a backlog. Sorry. So it's frustrating. I understand, because it's like you've held up your end of the bargain, right? Your job is to file your tax return on time, and in hopes that you can get that refund back on time. And when the IRS doesn't uphold their end, you're like, well, what can I do? And that's tough. That's really tough, and I understand that. So looking forward, you guys, to when you're filing your 2021 return, right? Because at this point, we filed our 2020 returns, and there's nothing really we can do at this point, you guys. They're trying to push them out. They're doing the best they can. I am not, I'm not making excuses. It's just they're underfunded, understaffed, and definitely under technologied. They don't have, advanced technology over there. So I'm sure they're doing the best they can. So what I'm telling y'all, if you have not processed your 2020 return yet, right? Let's say you're on extension, you have until October 15th to file that return. If you're getting a refund back, one option is always to just have that money applied to your next year's tax return. If you anticipate owing money the next year, then you don't have to wait for that money to come back, and you've paid a chunk towards your next year's liability. That's going to be my advice for 2021 as well, as we're assuming that we're going to maybe be facing these same delays. 2021, we had another stimulus payment. Guys, if your tax return is reporting that you are due a part of the stimulus payment, okay, whether it's 2020 or when we jump up to 2021, they are digging into those much more, like I think manually actually, because in their brain, they paid all the stimulus payments out when they were supposed to. So if you're saying on your tax return, yeah, I was supposed to get this stimulus payment and I didn't, they're going through their records and they're making sure that you truly did not receive that. And we're finding a lot of times that people did. They received a partial payment. They got confused about which payments they were supposed to be recording, and all the reasons, but those are causing delays. If your refund is being delayed and you aren't trying to get the rebate retention credit or the stimulus payment, anytime there's a credit involved, it always gets thrown through, a little bit more scrutiny by the IRS, especially if it's the earned income credit. They look at those a little with a fine tooth comb. Like I said, these rebate credits they're looking at more diligently. And so if you're due money back, and same with if you're due a large sum of money back, they take longer on those. They do not want to give that money up, you guys. So they're looking through to make sure that that money truly is due to you. That said, there is no rhyme or reason, guys. I mean, you could be on here watching me going, well, I got my RCC, I submitted for a credit and I got mine back 2 weeks later. I'm hearing that too. There is no rhyme or reason to what we're seeing delays on versus what we're not. Okay. So let's see. Hi, Wendy. So it says kiddo born September 2019. Would people get a stimulus prorate? I had a client, we requested a rebate credit and he received a letter as he may have to pay the rebate credit back, but the letter is not clear. You have any thoughts? No, the credits were based on being alive as of 12/31/2020. So kiddo born in 19 shouldn't have any effect on it at all. There definitely wouldn't be a prorate because these credits are 2020 and 2021 tax credits. So this, I'm pointing at the screen. So this saying the kid was born in 2019, they should get a full stimulus amount for the kid from both payments. So y'all, if you remember, there's been 3 stimulus payments. Okay, there was the first one that started being issued in, I want to say April March-ish of 2020. And excuse me, that one was, oh my God, testing my memory here. That was the one that was $1,200 per adult, $500 per dependent. But that's the one that was tricky because the dependent was only 17 and under. So college kids, people weren't getting any credit for college kids if they were dependent. That's still a thing that did not change. Okay. The second stimulus payment, you guys, was paid at the end of 2020 or at the very beginning of 2021. But even if you didn't receive it until January of 2021, it's still a 2020 tax credit. It was still accounted for on the 2020 tax return. And that one was that one? Okay, I'm wrong. The first one was, let's see, 600 times 4? No, it's 1,200 times 4. I don't know what it was. Sorry, don't remember my amounts. God, you think I would know this by now. It's just been a while since we had to talk about it. What was I saying? So Wendy was asking, let me put this back up. So, and then you guys, sorry, let me stop scrolling. Then there was a third stimulus payment that came out. That's the big one. The third stimulus payment came out in April of this year. That will be on your 2021 tax return. Okay. That one was $1,400 per everyone in your house, per person, right? But that was $1,400 per adult, per dependent, all the things. Okay, so I was right. So, so those first two stimulus payments, the one way back, you could have got that one anywhere from April to August, I think is when the last few of those first round of stimulus payments were issued. The second round started at the end of December / beginning of January. And then the third one was like in April of this year. Okay, third one, 2020 tax return. Okay, I want to reiterate that because if you you're going to need that when you file your 2021 tax return. How much money did you receive on the 2021 stimulus payment? There was only one. Okay, if you received money in January, that was your 2020 tax return. Okay, so Wendy's asking, so there's a kid born in 2019. The client requested a rebate credit, as they should have, because the kid was alive and kicking on 12/31/2020. That was the date, you guys. But he received a letter stating he may have to pay the rebate back. Maybe that was a letter that went to multiple people. I honestly don't know. I don't know. I haven't seen that letter from any of my clients. So, but the letter's not clear. My guess is it's some sort of template blanket letter that went out to certain people. So my questions would be: does this client share custody? Was this client's 2020 income higher than the threshold? Because I don't think it has anything to do with the kid itself. The kiddo, him or herself. It has to do with some other aspect of their situation, and I just don't know what it is. Because guys, that goes back to, so the law specifically states that in order to get these stimulus credits, the person has to have been alive on 12/31/2020, right? I think I'm right there. And that's the reason for that was because people were getting credits for people that were dead. And that might only be the most recent one. But they put that into place because, the IRS was going off the 2019 tax return. And maybe my husband was alive in 2019, and then they weren't alive in 2020 anymore. That's the date, 12/31/19, duh. Because they had to have been around in at least part of 2020. Okay. Okay. Oh, Mark says, would the local IRS office have any way to know anything? No. I mean, you can always try. I'm not going to, you may hit someone that knows anything, but their systems aren't connected. That's one of the other problems with the IRS is you have different divisions and none of their systems actually talk to one another. So like the IRS division that deals with payroll can tell you nothing about your income tax. And I believe it's been a few years since I've been into a local office, but I went into a local office and their system, they can receive your return into the system, but they actually can't see anything on the big level, on the federal level. They can just put things in. They can't actually read any of the data. Okay. So the other thing I want to talk about, you guys, just today is this week's YouTube video was about head of household filing status. And that is a filing status that some people don't realize it exists. And what that's for, it was created for people who are not married but have dependents. So if that's you, I suggest you check out that video. Filing as head of household can bring about a ton of tax benefits, including a higher standard deduction, and it can qualify you for higher tax credits on your kiddos. So something worth checking out. I am peeking at, Mark says, IRS is like that sloth character in Zootopia. Yes. Yes, they are. I think that sloth character works for the DMV in Zootopia, but same thing. And I don't mean to pick on our governing agencies, but again, they are understaffed and underfunded and I don't know the word I'm ever looking for, but they don't their tool. They don't have the right tools to do their job. You know, they're using old technology and like I said, their systems don't talk to each other. It's a mess. So yeah. All right, you guys, anything else we've got? Let me check my notes, make sure I went over everything I wanted to. We talked about stimulus check updates, that they're probably not happening. We talked about refund delays, how they're probably going to continue. That's the other thing. So the other one I read is some of these people, let's talk about unemployment real quick. So in 2020, a lot of people were on unemployment, right? And in March, maybe, of 2021, the government said that the first $10,200 of your unemployment income will be tax-free, not taxable, okay? And at that point, many individuals had already filed their tax return, right? And they didn't get to benefit from that up to $10,200 of tax-free unemployment income. The IRS then says, do not file an amended return for this purpose. If the only thing wrong on your return is that you did not classify your unemployment up to $10,200 as non-taxable, we will handle it. That's what I don't know if the IRS said they were handling it or maybe Congress told the IRS to handle it. That's what I usually guess. I'm usually guessing, guys, that the Congress is telling the IRS what they're going to do, and the IRS is just like, we can't do that, but okay. So they were told, if you already filed your tax return and you did not take advantage of this up to $10,200 of tax-free money, we will amend your return for you and take it, we will adjust it for you. And because for people, this is going to end up in a higher refund, right? Because you now have $10,200 that you were taxed on when you filed your return. I'm so sorry, my allergies. Oh, that you were taxed on that now is tax-free, that you get tax-free money. So you have money coming back to you. So it's like, okay, well, when do I get that money? So I was reading on this morning. They're slowly making adjustments. And I think that's what they're doing, you guys. I think, if you think about it, just what we've talked about today, right? We've talked about there's 2019 returns not filed. There's 2020 returns refunds that haven't been processed. There's these unemployment amended returns that haven't been processed. I think the IRS is just chipping away at each of these a little bit at a time, right? They're not saying, okay, we're going to get all of our 19 returns done, so that's off the plate. And then we're going to get all of our unemployment returns adjusted, so those are off our plate. They're not doing that. They're just chipping away at things. I'd love to say in the order they came in, but I doubt it. So when will you receive that refund? We don't know. They are processing them though. The last batch I read this week, I pulled it up right here. They issued refunds to 1.5 million taxpayers, but that was about 2 months ago. So working on it. I feel like that should be their motto or their slogan, working on it. Let's see. Wendy says, hold on. That's a good question. So Wendy's saying, is the state of Colorado going to complete the unemployment amendments? And this would hold true for any state. So you guys, all right, last question, last thing we'll talk about. So when the IRS amends a tax return on their end, okay, so for unemployment, because they do that with other things, right? Like people file a return, they missed something, the IRS says, hey, you missed this income, we're amending this, here's what you now owe, or here's your new refund that we've done. There's the state return that has to be handled, right? If we get clients who the IRS amends their federal return and it's legit and we don't fight it because it's right, I will file a Colorado return for them, an amended state return. I'll just say state return for them, so it gets handled faster. Okay. Eventually, the states do catch up, but I mean, there have been times where there have been years in between. We will have the IRS notice that we get the IRS notice saying there's an amendment, and it's a year and a half to 2 years later where Colorado says, "Hey, we amended your 2018 return," which causes a few issues. One, if you owe money, right? If you owe money, you now have additional penalties and interest for that time that you didn't pay it when they now say it was due. If you have money coming back to you, that's longer that you don't have your money. So that's our standard process here at Bree Beers and Associates, is if we receive an IRS notification of an amended return or of them updating your federal return, we will file an amended state return so that their records are clean and clear and not wait for the state to catch it. That said, I have had clients who the IRS, amends their return. They missed something. They owe a ton of money. It's legit. They paid the IRS money, and they say, do not file a state return. I will let them figure it out. And they're banking on the state never reconciling. Do they ever get away with it? I mean, this has been recently, so they can, but but they take that risk because they don't want to pay, and they risk the extra time of penalties and interest. Because that's the other thing, guys. Penalties and interest, they eventually time out. Like there's a cap on how much they add. So, but I will always suggest to you guys that you do the right thing and you amend that state return as well. All right, so I am out of time. Thank you for doing these lives. You're so very welcome, you guys. I love being here with you guys. I love your questions. You guys always have such great questions to ask. I think I have a 10:15 appointment, so I'm going to go get ready for that. I will see you guys next week. I will be checking. Reminder, if you guys have questions, if you're watching this on replay or you come up with questions after the fact, the best place to put them is on the event for next week's live. It'll be posted by tomorrow. My admin will always post them by Friday. So, hey, come to our event. It'll be on the Facebook page. Again, join Money, Tax, and Finance for Small Business Owners. That Facebook group page, put your questions there because that's where I look for your guys' questions. So in case you guys can't make it live or you're not sure you can make it live, put your questions there. That's where I pull from. If you DM me, you email me, there's a good chance that I forget that you asked these questions and I won't address them in the live. So, all right. Happy Thursday. Have a great day. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.